All right, let's dive right into this explainer and absolutely dismantle that old, tired myth of saving your pennies to get rich. For generations, we've been fed this idea that the path to financial security is simply cutting back on lattes, clipping coupons, and just stashing away whatever tiny bit is left over from our paychecks. But here's the reality. You literally cannot shrink your way to true wealth through tiny savings. Today, we're going to explore a completely different paradigm. We're focusing on continuous income generation and real investment vision. We'll be pulling from the brilliant minds of Robert Kiyosaki, Naval Ravikant, and Jeff Bezos to construct a bulletproof formula for your financial freedom.
Let's start with a really hard truth here. If you're trapped in the endless cycle of the 80-hour workweek, simply saving a chunk of your salary is never, ever going to bring you true freedom. Think about it. Time is your ultimate, most valuable asset. Even if you're a highly paid doctor or a corporate lawyer, if your income completely stops the second you take a vacation, well, you aren't financially free. You're just renting out your time for a premium price. So how do we break this cycle? Real wealth isn't about sacrificing more of your precious time for a few extra dollars. It's about fundamentally changing how your time and your money interact.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're looking at 1. The wealth mindset shift. 2. Escaping the time trap. 3. Assets, liabilities, and leverage. 4. The 3 piggy banks. And finally, 5. Your 30-day action plan. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Part 1, the wealth mindset shift. It is time to completely shift your paradigm.
Robert Kiyosaki brilliantly points out that money isn't just physical paper. It's literally an idea, and more importantly, it's a tool. Treating it like a tool is the very first step to changing your financial reality. See, the middle class often views money as this scarce resource that needs to be hoarded out of fear. But the wealthy? They view money as a powerful instrument. Instead of saying the phrase, "I can't afford this," which, by the way, completely shuts down your brain, they ask a question, "How can I afford this?" They use money as a tool to launch low-capital business ideas and high-yield investment projects rather than obsessing over finding a few extra dollars to put in a savings account.
Now, this brings us to a fascinating contrast from Jeff Bezos. We're talking about settling for a safe, kind of regret-filled life versus aggressively pursuing your passion. Back when Bezos was 26, he was working this highly lucrative, super comfortable job on Wall Street, right? But he had this crazy idea to sell books on the internet. His boss basically told him, hey, that's a great idea, but it's a better idea for someone who doesn't already have a great job. So Bezos had to choose right then and there between the illusion of comfort and the actual thrill of adventure.
Bezos argues that failure is really just the stepping stone. Choosing the hard path of adventure over the trap of comfort is what you're ultimately going to be proud of. He realized that at 80 years old, sitting back and looking at his life, he wouldn't regret trying and failing to build Amazon. But he knew for sure he'd be haunted by the regret of never having tried at all. You've got to develop this entrepreneurial mindset that treats mistakes as an educational tool. This kind of active resilience is an absolute prerequisite for true independence.
Which brings us to Part 2, escaping the time trap. Let's talk about reclaiming your time.
You've got to apply the 80-20 rule to your day. By auditing your routines every single morning, you can identify and ruthlessly delegate low-value tasks. You need to think like an entrepreneur here. If your ultimate goal is to earn, say, $100 an hour, why on earth are you spending your weekends doing chores you could easily outsource for $15 an hour? You have to delegate those low-yielding routines. Use that reclaimed time to master high-yield skills or launch a new business model. Time is your ultimate currency. Please don't waste it on the bottom 80% of tasks. Naval Ravikant teaches us a totally game-changing concept here. To get rich with low capital, you must use leverage. It's the ultimate Archimedes lever to amplify your results without trading away more of your time. In today's world, wealth doesn't require millions to start. Leverage means writing a piece of code that works for you 24/7, or creating media that scales infinitely without requiring extra effort from you. Leverage essentially decouples your inputs from your outputs, giving you the maximum possible return on your most precious asset, your time.
All right, Part 3, assets, liabilities, and leverage. This right here is the actual engine of wealth.
Naval gives us this profound, incredibly simple definition of wealth. True wealth isn't a high salary. It's owning equity and systems that generate income while you sleep. It's about continuous income growth, not just hoarding cash in a bank account that's losing value to inflation. An asset puts money in your pocket, whether you go to work today or not. A liability takes money out. Honestly, if you stopped working tomorrow, your liabilities would eat you alive, but your assets will feed you.
This table right here perfectly captures Kiyosaki's core concept. You absolutely must understand the difference between active and passive income.
Active income is a trap, you guys. It's totally linear. You work 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. Passive income, on the other hand, is freedom. Yes, it requires a heavy upfront investment, whether that's specific knowledge, time, or capital, but once it's set up, it's completely decoupled from your time and pays you indefinitely. Your financial freedom is directly tied to how quickly you can convert your active income into passive, leverage-backed assets.
Moving on to part 4, the 3 piggy banks. Let's look at how to actually execute this system.
Kiyosaki's 3 piggy bank system is fantastic. It's a daily habit to practically and visually divide your cash flow into saving, investing, and giving. And look, it's not about the dollar amount, it's entirely about the habit. Even if you start with literally just $1 a day in each bank, you are physically training your brain to think like a wealthy person. You're building the muscle memory required to allocate capital toward growth while also maintaining an abundance mindset through charity.
To be a pro investor, Kiyosaki says you have to analyze 100 deals, bid on 10, have 3 accepted, all just to buy 1. When people complain that they can't find a good deal after looking at, 1 or 2 options, they're treating investing like a lottery ticket, not a profession. A true entrepreneur views those 99 rejections not as personal failures, but as essential market data. Rejection and mistakes aren't red lights telling you to stop. They are the exact data points you need to refine your strategy, learn, and ultimately win.
And that brings us to part 5, your 30-day action plan. The time for planning is over. Let's start doing. Over the next month, I want you to follow this exact timeline to violently prioritize your time, balance your savings with real income generation, and execute without any excuses. In week 1, set up those 3 piggy banks and start auditing every hour of your day. Week 2, take the bottom 20% of your tasks and delegate or delete them. Week 3, pick one high-leverage skill to learn. Maybe it's market analysis, maybe it's writing copy. And finally, in week 4, deploy the money from your investing piggy bank into your very first low-capital asset.
Look, you have the courage, and now you have the tools to step out of that rut you've been stuck in for years. You need to act like an entrepreneurial mentor to yourself. If you do what the masses do, you're going to get exactly what the masses get. You have to consciously choose to rewrite the narrative you've been handed about money, risk, and comfort.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The ideas are all right here. The roadmap is set. Are you going to choose the illusion of comfort, or are you going to choose the bold, leverage-driven path to true financial freedom? What actionable choice will you make when you wake up tomorrow morning? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you on the next one.